Welcome to PA Centered, a podcast designed to help listeners be a part of the solution to end sexual harassment, abuse, and assault. Each episode, we will take on a topic or current event to help spark conversation and break down barriers to building communities free from sexual violence.
Hi, I'm Damari Rodriguez, the Language Access Coordinator at the Pennsylvania Coalition Against Rape. Welcome to this episode of History You Should Know, part of the PA Centered podcast. To celebrate and highlight stories of people who advanced the anti-sexual violence movement, particularly Black women, we are sharing a series of shorter episodes so you can learn all about the people and events that contributed to our movement. During today's episode, we're going to learn about Aishah Shahidah Simmons, a survivor, filmmaker, and from her website, lovewithaccountability.com, an award-winning Black feminist lesbian cultural worker who, for over 25 years, has examined the intersections of race, gender, sexuality, and sexual violence. As a warning, this episode contains descriptions of racial and sexual violence. Please take care of yourself while listening. Aishah Shahidah Simmons was born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She is the daughter of activists who were part of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or SNCC. SNCC was one of the most prominent groups during the Civil Rights era as they staged sit-ins, boycotts, and protests. Aisha went on to attend Swarthmore College and then transferred to Temple University. Simmons ended up leaving Temple after she was raped while studying abroad. After withdrawing from Temple, Aisha spent some time with her father and traveling. Aisha eventually went on to be with her mother, and it was during this time that Simmons met the filmmaker Toni Cade Bambara and became her protege. Under Bambara's guidance at the Scribe Video Center, Aisha released her first short film titled Silence Broken in 1993. Silence Broken was about an African-American lesbian and an addressed silence around racism, sexism, and homophobia. This film is dedicated to the memory of Audre Lorde. A few years later, Aisha released In My Father's House in 1996, which was focused on issues of race, gender, homophobia, rape, reproductive justice, and misogyny. Simmons wrote, directed, and produced both films. Aisha went on to create the widely acclaimed film No, the Rape Documentary, released in 2006 after 12 years of work. No focuses on intraracial rape, accountability, and healing in Black communities. Aisha has said, "What's funny is that initially I didn't think it had anything to do with me as a rape survivor. I thought I just wanted to help other women." Aisha's own healing journey as a survivor of incest led her to create Love with Accountability. Aisha shared in an interview, "I started in January 2015 when I was in my 40s, demanding conversations with my parents about this. I started signing my emails, Love with Accountability. That's where this comes out of. What I was saying is, I love you all, and I know you love me, but you all have to be accountable for the ways in which you did not protect me." From lovewithaccountability.com, the project centers Black survivors, focuses on radical healing and accountability, and explores how we can disrupt and end the inhumane child sexual abuse pandemic humanely. It also examines how the silence around child sexual abuse in the familial institution plays a direct role in creating a culture of sexual violence in all other institutions, religious, academic, activist, political, and professional. Survivor-centered healing and accountability without relying on policing in prisons is love and radical justice. The project began in 2016 by gathering, as described in lovewithaccountability.com, an intergenerational group of 29 diasporic Black cisgender women, gender nonconforming people, trans and cisgender men to join her on the Feminist Wire to explore what love with accountability looks like in the context of child sexual abuse. The group included survivors, advocates, and Aisha's mother, who wrote publicly for the first time acknowledging what happened to Aisha and the 3 decades-long cover-up. In 2019, Aisha went on to release the anthology Love with Accountability, Digging Up the Roots of Child Sexual Abuse, which contains 44 stories from Black survivors of child sexual abuse. In addition to releasing the anthology, Simmons organized #FromNo to Love, a Black feminist-centered forum on disrupting sexual violence that was held in Philadelphia in fall of 2019. This brought together survivors, scholars, cultural workers, and activists from the U.S. and abroad. Videos of the event are available in the link shared with the podcast. To keep up with Aisha's work, you can follow her on social media at AfroLes. Thanks for listening to this episode of History You Should Know, part of the PA-Centered podcast. To learn more about Aishah Shahidah Simmons, check out the resources shared in the episode description. To learn more about the history of the anti-sexual violence movement, check out PCAR's free History and Philosophy e-learning course at campus.nsvrc.org.
If you or a loved one needs help, a local sexual assault center is available 24/7. Call 1-888-772-7227 for more information or find your local center online at pcar.org. Together, we can end sexual violence. Any views or opinions expressed on PA-Centered by staff or their guests are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of PCAR or PCAR's funders.